is the second episode of the Ashcan podcast. My name is Phill. My counterpart, Jason. Say hi, Jason.
Wait a minute. Wait. Did
Oh
you
no,
accept it?
did I accept it?
Yeah.
I'm accepting of anything. I don't see anything where it says.
Oh shit. No, I'm sorry. It's recording. All right, let's start this over. All right, go ahead, Phil.
When do we start? Now?
Now we're recording, dude.
Okay. So,
Okay, go.
Welcome back, everyone. Oh my gosh, already off the rails. Welcome
Yep,
to
it
the
is.
welcome to the Ashcan podcast. This is this is a place where geeks can come and have shared experiences and become in the know, and it's our new little cult. How about we call it that?
I,
Upon
Colts.
upon
Oh, go.
upon this rock we shall build a church.
Oh God. Did you introduce yourself already?
So my name is Phill Hamilton, and of you, of course, is Jason Martin.
Yeah.
Say hello,
Thank you.
Jason.
Hey, Phil. Thanks for the introduction. The
I'm wondering, do
church
we
that this
we
rut. we we wow.
we
Yeah.
we
So
laid the foundation with the first episode, so
yeah, our backs hurt, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've recovered a little bit. I'm I'm I'm, I'm ready to lift some more.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. And we have some good news to start off the podcast with. So there is a Facebook group that I created um, that is called uh, you know what?
Is it the Ashcan podcast on Facebook?
No, Ashcan podcast. I think that's what it's called. Let me look that up. That's on. It's a Facebook group for the podcast to where we could share, posts and memes. Please keep them clean. Not necessarily is this kid specifically for kids, but I wouldn't. But I don't. Nobody wants to see stuff that is going to offend somebody. So keep it clean and be respectful. Um, and that is right.
Show
Filibuster bill.
yeah, show some tact, you heathens. We are a cult. That means that we are.
I don't know if I want to be called a cult. The last
What?
time, like, somebody called something a cult, it didn't go very well. Now, mind you, one of the biggest, it's called the yeah, just look for it like Ashcan Podcast. It's a page, so just look for it like that, and you'll see Ashcan Podcast in a graphic, and that'll get you there. And if you want, and we'll, just send me an invite, and we will get you in there. Make sure that you have like a legit page, not something that's been created just to get in it. I'm not gonna. I don't want shenanigans going on of that nature.
Yeah,
If you want to email us, it will be the official Ashcan podcast, all in lowercase, at gmail.com.
nice.
And the YouTube channel is the Ashcan podcast. Uh, on YouTube, look for the channel. Again, it's the same graphic. And that the first episode we taped last week will be there starting February 1st.
Now,
Uh,
just as a disclaimer, there won't be like any actual video of
no,
us
well, I
doing it.
mean, there may be video stuff that we do in the future, but like right
Yeah,
now, nobody wants to look at my ugly mug, and it's been Philip's days off, so who knows what he's done with his hair. Do you?
Yeah, I gotta spray it on. I want to make sure I look at least decent.
Wait a
But
minute. Wait a
that
minute.
stuff is expensive.
It's expensive. Wait a minute. You got dad like your hair, don't you?
What?
Or your hair like your dad?
I got no. uh,
Thinning on top?
my. So yeah, my dad's not going to listen to this podcast, so I'll go ahead and disclose this to all the
Wait a
listeners.
minute. You do have a brother.
Yeah, he's in on it too. So,
Oh, yeah. Of
no,
course.
my dad, and God bless his soul, he's the greatest dad I've ever had, and probably others could have had. But
Right.
he is, yeah, super nice guy, but he has the most epic comb over I have ever seen anyone ever have. So yeah, I there's a reason why I've never seen him fly a kite on a windy day. That's pretty much the reason right there.
Just hair flopping around the strands of hair. Oh, oh God. Yeah. So go ahead. Oh, God.
No, I'm not going to go any more into that.
No, it's fine.
I think everyone gets the picture.
Right.
But there
So,
won't be any
but
videos of us on YouTube just yet. So
just yet, yeah.
and not until we get like fan mail.
Well, I mean, even that. I mean, I don't know. Again, I have some ideas in the works. So, whether they get pulled off or not, you know, we'll see. So yeah, so we have a Facebook group, we have a YouTube channel, and we have an email. I will try to put them in the notes for the show, so that way they're a little bit more accessible. If you like the episode enough, please feel free to like and share, post comments below. And if it's really good, subscribe. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is kind of like somewhat of a last minute thing because some stuff freed up on my end of things to where we could do one this week. We kind of figured out that we can get together and do a show. So I think I have to pick something from Philip and I were talking, and I mentioned that I wanted to do a like a news after like a Comic-Con San Diego, like news that came out of the convention after
We
the
have
convention
money.
happened.
We have
No,
money to do that.
we don't have money. We're broke. Remember?
Yeah.
we,
Oh yeah. I know
so
that.
we were in. He kind of misunderstood what I was saying, and uh, so I guess we have to right now like go, what conventions would we like to go to? I mean, like that we dreamed of going to, because Comic-Con was one when we were teenagers. That was like, I mean, it still is, but it's really out of hand now. But like, it was the one that we wanted to go to.
Yeah.
It was one of the big ones, that Chicago Comic-Con. Was it Dragon Con or was it New York?
Yeah, Dragon Con was
In
around.
Atlanta. Yeah, it's still around, I think.
Yeah.
But because we got to go to Chicago, but San Diego was that one. It was like one day we'll go to San Diego.
Back then, there weren't many conventions at all. Not like there is now. You got conventions pretty much every week now in
It feels that
all
way, yeah.
around, all
Right. I
around
mean, there's
the
one in
nation.
Jacksonville in a month or two. It's its first show. It's its first Comic-Con.
Oh wow.
In Jacksonville, Florida. But I unfortunately have to work, and I don't have the time off to take it off to go. And it's a one-day con.
Yep.
Which is just really cool because I mean the only other one that I could do is either MegaCon in Orlando,
That'd be cool.
Dragon Con in Atlanta if it's still running.
Oh my.
I really want to do C2E2, and that would be, for right now, somewhat of the more feasible one. Because my
I
sister lives on the north side of Chicago.
oh,
Janet, like so I have a place to stay, but it's just a matter of like funds and getting time off and whatnot.
right.
Because I would like to go to that one because I was hearing about that like when it started and it sounded like its growth was really good.
Yeah. So I've actually been to one C2E2, and that
Oh
was
really?
2016,
Oh wow.
and it was amazing. Just
Oh yeah, I'm
the
sure.
sheer size and the amount of people, and I I remember the conventions we went to in the 90s. I mean, think honestly, Jason, think triple that.
Yeah, well, that's my understanding was I mean, it just a lot more, like a lot more of everything, even in certain regards, not even comic books, to my understanding. They have wrestlers there, they have voice actors. So it's kind of a really cool thing to do that. But then you have like, smaller ones like what, DairyCon?
DairyCon
I
is
don't think
yeah.
it's small. I don't know how big it is, but I know it's nothing like on the size of like of Comic Con or C2E2.
Okay. I got to give a little background to DairyCon. DairyCon is actually a Transformers based convention, and it's done by just a group of friends in the Fond du Lac area. It
Really?
has grown
Huh.
in size a little bit.
Right.
You guys, they get people from Chicago, Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, um,
Right.
but
The Midwest, Upper
it,
Midwest.
yeah,
Wow.
it, it's a fun theme. It's a fun time. And I will probably try to do a podcast or do like interviews from there
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
in
have
a
to discuss
future
that.
date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to discuss that at, like what we can do. And then wasn't there one in Minneapolis that GalaxyCon? No.
Yeah, GalaxyCon. That
GalaxyCon. Oh wow.
that was the last one I went to. Yeah, in November, and we'll definitely be going back
Oh
because
really?
they are well put together.
Yeah.
Um, there's hardly waiting in line or anything. It, it was one of the best ones I've been to, and if it's nearby, I'm definitely going to be going to it.
Right.
I've
That's
been to a
cool.
couple
That's cool.
Wizard Worlds. If you've heard of those,
Yeah, no, I have heard of those, and I've heard. Well, Wizard World took over the original Chicago Comic Con. The people that ran it,
right?
Moondog Comics, I believe, they took it over. And I heard it's one of those things where it's like now, like it doesn't. It's it's not. I think the consensus that I had was it's not great, but it's not but it's not really bad.
Right.
But that was
I
all on the hinges of the magazine, and that's I don't even think they print that anymore.
no.
Gareb Shamus moved on to other things. I mean, last time I listened to anything concerning that, like it was something that like it was starting to kind of it was this weird thing.
That's the internet for you. Yep.
All
It kind
right,
of.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, wow,
Oh,
yeah, because I remember, yeah, because I remember hearing about them, and then it was just like, well, and then you would hear these like sometimes in some certain instances like, well, I didn't really have, I mean, it wasn't worth it to go kind of stuff. So, because
I
he's
I
still,
I definitely like going to conventions, but yeah,
yeah,
it can't be you know uh a definitely a constant thing to do. Um,
right,
just it takes a lot of planning and a lot of
right,
money.
right,
But whatever ones that I can go to, Jason, I will definitely um, be promoting the podcast and
right,
see if I can
cool,
get some guests on.
right, cool, yeah, that'd be awesome, yeah. Yeah, because those are always fun. Like it's be around other people. Now it's this thing like I haven't been to one since I went to a Comic-Con. When was that? It's been years because it was before the 2000s when I went, and I haven't been to one. Yeah, I haven't been to one since. Matter of fact, we have one here in where I live, an anime convention, I think.
Oh, okay. There's been a
That
bunch
I
of
mean,
those.
yeah, I mean, again, it's not like huge, and they do get people. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I guess by next episode I can look it up and get some information. Um, because it is, because it there, I mean, it does get a bit of a draw, and where I live, it's not like it's not Jacksonville, um, but it's not like it's booming right now. Like the traffic's pretty crazy. We have two like huge resorts here. So they're able to get people here. Um, so which is kind of cool. I mean, because anime is really cool too. And
Yeah.
it's its own thing as well with the cosplay. That's a big thing now. People doing that for money. Like who would ever thought that like you could do that for money?
Oh, I
Like you
know.
could you could dress up as cosplay and like get hired out to go to like conventions,
Yeah,
or somebody having the idea of, hey, let's do a 501st Legion, and they
oh
build
yeah,
their old armor, like they build all of their armor.
that's
Like
amazing.
new people get shown how to put together like stormtrooper armor, or the various different stormtrooper armors. And if I remember correctly, they were tapped by the Mandalorian for an episode because they couldn't get, it's either they couldn't get enough extras, or they couldn't get the armor for it to do the scene.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Um yeah, they pulled on the 500 first, yeah.
Yeah, I don't ever stick around for the credits to see anything like
Yeah,
who's
no,
in
no,
it.
no.
Yeah.
This was more like a geek thing. I don't know if this was ever in the credits because I'm not I love the credits of The Mandalorian just because they're like what would you call them? Like when they do a
It,
scene but they draw the scene out.
like
Um
concept art.
yeah, like concept art.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking at that instead of like whatever is rolling by, and like sometimes I'll see like John Favreau or John Favreau and Forlini, whatever his name, Forlini, whatever his first name is. And then what that, but I don't pay attention to because I'm looking at the concept art and how close they are to the scenes, like the actual scene itself.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, so yeah, but just to be able to do that, like to have that, like to be able to have those things, and people who really, they can do them up like really well. It's not some cheap costume. I mean, they put a lot of time and effort into it, um, to do that. You know,
Um.
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. Uh, Cosplay is. It seems like such a dedication
Right,
and and know-how.
right.
And I don't think I have that. I just
Um,
I don't think I like I could search inside and I have a hard time doing Halloween costumes. So I mean
yeah. Well, that's a stat. Like, there's certain talents that have to be had,
yeah.
just baseline talents, and just to be able to have the visual eye, which I know I don't have. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. I mean, I know how to like stitch like a patch on and stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
to sew a costume with a machine and all this other craziness, like I don't know how to do that. I'm sure I could learn, but I don't have the time.
I could have learned. I could have took home ec in high school. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
there weren't many guys taking home ec, so um
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was just it. That was the class where, traditionally it was, more girls than guys took it. But then you start hearing when all the guys caught on, there were majority guys than girls in the class. Like, it was just one of those things where the girls were like, oh, we're not doing this anymore. But
That's
then, like,
true.
if you look at it, like, society has really changed. Like, there isn't that kind of thing that, where, sometimes like families are very rarely eating dinner at the same time.
Never.
I
Almost
mean,
never.
I mean, I know, I mean, I know. We try. I mean, we had our moments when we did, like outside of like going out, but it's just when you're working, 40 plus hours a week, and maybe you do a swing shift, or or what have you, or you don't get like select set days off. It's hard. You work a morning shift and you're already tired, and you come home and you have to go cook, not only cook but like clean,
Oh yeah.
which is fine. I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong yet. I love cooking when I can do it, and when I can do it without having massive complaints about how spicy it is. um, oh man,
Have to.
I oh, so you don't season like a Midwesterner?
Um, no,
That's
no.
good.
I have
That's
to
good.
put something in, but I
Right.
usually have to do it afterwards when everyone starts eating. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The spicier stuff. Yeah. I know. Like that drives me. Like, I don't mind. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, but that's just how people, like, the majority of the people, salt, pepper, maybe garlic powder. Very rarely is it anything outside of. I mean, they may or may not use other seasonings, but it's not. There isn't like. I mean, now it's probably better, but it's just very rare. But yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I don't want anybody to be offended. It's just don't go after me.
so how was your day today?
I worked and it was gray and miserable. With the highest it got was like 60, and we were pretty steady, But other than that, like, I just basically, like, I worked the morning shift and got out, and then came home.
It was a
Uh,
couple
to,
weeks ago that you guys kind of had like worse than it is now. It's like a real bad cold snap, wasn't it?
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, when you deal with northeastern winds, like, they tend to bring like a lot of cold weather down, and sometimes, a lot of times, it's stuff that's coming down, from the plains, and then through the mid South, or up, from the Atlantic, like, like from like that weather pattern that kind of comes down, can bring a lot of wild weather too. So it gets cold, like cold for us. It's not like cold for you, but it's like cold for us, and that there's humidity in the air. It makes it worse.
Yeah. I wouldn't know what that would be like a whole lot, I don't think. But yeah, you
Okay.
the way you explained it, that's yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the cold is encompassing you. It's not
Yeah,
you
it
can't
goes through
really
you.
get away
Like,
from it. Yep.
it feels, yeah, it feels like it goes right through you. And it's just like one of those things where it feels like you just can't get warm. And it seems to be like the older you get, the more aches and pains that you get. Life stuff. Like, my wife is older than me, so she's like, buried under blankets and stuff like that. And it may not even be like, 40 degrees.
Now I know like it's probably not a whole lot of where you guys are in Jacksonville or around that
Right.
area, but yeah, I was seeing some videos of iguanas that live in the trees actually falling out.
You know how
Like
crazy that is? I
falling
read
out
that. I'm like, falling out of a tree, like, okay. Like,
and they're not exactly dead. They're just frozen and just
mhm,
kind of went into this like hibernation slumber. And
right.
then like the very next day when it warms up, they like pop right back up and
Yeah.
good to
Oh yeah.
go.
Like, the weather here gets like, it feels like you're, I mean, it's very, very like manic. Like, one day it'll be this, and then the other day it's like some severe extreme. Um, during the winter, like, it's crazy. But like, if you dress for it, it's not so bad. But um,
Yeah.
or you're like me, like, doing the lawn in shorts, and like the temperature drops. You know, it's like, it's not so pleasant anymore. But
Mm.
yeah, it's not bad, but it's just different. Like, you know, where yours is cold, like more of a dry air, ours is cold. And then
And we
at
have
times not as
we have
windy.
inches of precipitation.
Right, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, your precipitation is like snow or ice and slush. Ours is rain
Yeah.
or mist or, you know, fog, whatever, you know, what have you. But yeah, it's different. Like, you know, you just don't want to go out and do anything, you know, but yeah. So, but yeah, so, I was watching Hulu and I don't know what I was watching. I saw the trailer for the season finale for Titans. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't subscribed to the DC.
Man, I don't know how much that is, but that that had my attention. It looked really good. Like,
Mhm.
but in the same regard, I don't know if like that type of if they're writing stuff like that's real smart or is it like I remember watching the first episode of The Flash on CW and it felt like it wasn't it wasn't for me kind of a thing.
Okay.
Like I was too old to be watching it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
I've been feeling that
The
way too. Yeah.
CW like to that, you know, a more of a younger viewer base than, you know, what I was, you know, than what I was. And it didn't it was cool to see. I mean, but it was like one of those things like, oh, I can't I'm not gonna stay with this. Like it just I felt like I was too old to be watching it or something like that. I don't know. It was well done, but I just couldn't. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, in the same regard, I haven't even seen The Arrow, and I heard The Arrow is brilliant.
Um. I honestly, the only stuff I've been watching with CW has been that Crisis storyline that they've been doing, the crossover.
Oh yeah, yeah. How is that?
There's, I'm mostly watching for the Easter eggs. The
Yeah.
stuff like, oh, I know that thing.
Right.
And have to explain it
Right.
to my daughter, and she just whips a pillow at me, says, "Shut up! I'm trying to watch this." So, um,
Right.
I don't know. It's enjoyable.
Right.
Just because I know that thing, and I'm trying to be the brainiac too in everything. So that
Right.
I enjoy it for that, but
Right.
storyline, it's okay. Uh, it, what really gets me is the dialogue. It's just
Oh
there's
no.
yeah. But
Oh
that's
no.
it's the general CW dialogue. It's
Yeah.
the actors are saying the lines and they're doing it, but there's really nothing behind it because
Right.
it, there that's just the way the programming is, which it's worked for them, so that's
Right.
fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people watch it, and you know, it gets people engaged and interested into it. Um, but you know, when you know there's bad dialogue or whatever, or you know, the dialogue's not all that great, or the pacing's not all that great, it kind of makes it hard to watch, even
Yeah.
for the most diehard of it. And I mean, and for those of us who, when they started doing all of the you know, the DC stuff for CW, it was just like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if, you know, Crisis of Infinite Earths. That was kind of like a really kind of like deep kind of like story, like one that I don't think I don't know if I've ever read. I don't know. I don't think I've ever read it, but my understanding is it's like a very very kind of like compassing storyline, and I don't know. Like I'm sure. Again, I don't know who they have involved, and I mean, but it's just one of those things that'd be hard to pull off.
Hmm.
Too many plot lines going around, too many characters, too many different kind of alternate realities with different people or heroes, but they're not who you think that they are. Or in like the Huntress's case, it's like Batman's daughter, something like that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, something kind of really chaotic. But in the flip side, you know, you have Birds of Prey. You know,
Yep.
the movie that's coming out. I mean, I know it was a series for a little while, and they look really good. But in the same regard, it's like, you know, it's crazy because they're playing it off as like this like it's this kind of like somewhat of an ensemble kind of thing, but they push Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's called Birds of Prey, but it really is the Harley Quinn movie.
Right.
That's the way I'm seeing it, because
Right.
who's the biggest star in that ensemble?
It would be her,
That's
yeah, whatever the
yeah.
actress is. I can't think of her name is, yeah. And she did, and I like how they did the Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad because I got to see that in the theater.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good movie. It was fun to watch. Will Smith did a really good job.
Yeah, he did.
But it was like one of those things where it was just like, the certain characters because of the way they're what are you calling it? I'm dorking.
Like portrayed.
Well, no, not so much portrayal, but like their licensed kind of property thing.
Oh yeah.
And Harley Quinn's a big deal. Not so much as like Katana, but like Katana's in like the cartoons my granddaughter's watching. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like some kind of like ancillary character, and I mean, she's not that she's huge, but then you have Poison Ivy. Everybody who's Poison Ivy is. Everybody. Well, I don't know about the Huntress to a degree, but then do they have an Oracle yet or no?
Um,
Are they going to have one?
that I don't know. I think you would have to
You'd have to do that kind of
You'd have to,
storyline, yeah.
yeah,
You
you'd have
just
to introduce
Batgirl.
Batgirl
Was it
first.
Batgirl or Batwoman that got it?
It was Batgirl.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she was Oracle until she was paralyzed.
Yeah, by the Joker. Spoilers.
Yeah. Oh.
So, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but it's kind of like this weird thing, too. It's just like, who knew that, like, comic books would be, like, this huge that they could do movies? Like, they're doing movies. And TV, you know what I mean? Like, but it makes me think, like, when is that going to be? When is that going to fall?
Oh, okay. I'm on a mission, Jason.
Oh no.
I gotta say this. I'm on a mission.
Uh,
Like, it's I want to say it like like Dan Aykroyd, in Blues Brothers. We're on a mission
what a
for
mission?
God.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it isn't a divine mission. It's a self mission.
Right.
Like I am seeking enlightenment. I want to, and this podcast is going to help me do this.
Okay.
I want to climb the mountain. I'm going to climb the mountain.
What is the mountain?
I don't know. One of the Himalayas, I think. I want to find the wise man at the top of the mountain and find the answers that we all ask, but
Okay.
we can't get the answer. Or the question we have is, why are people the way they are? Why are we here? All these things. It's going to be, why are we into these things? Why is a geek a geek? Why is a nerd a nerd? Why are we attached to such things like comic books, characters, um, toys,
Right.
you know, I, that's my mission.
Well, I mean, if you really think about it, like, it's all kind of like this belief in like something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all want. I mean, it's from a kid. I mean, too largely to an adult too. Like, we all want to have like our heroes.
Yeah.
So if you think about it for a time, like Tarzan was a hero, Gilgamesh was, I don't know what Gilgamesh could have been, was, kind of a hero. Um, you know,
You can go far back in Beowulf.
Beowulf, stuff like that. Like, so we want Robin Hood, like we want this belief in something like grander than ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like we want our heroes because you know, they just they do. Like, I mean, they do these things that is, there's, sometimes they're so grand or dangerous or something. So, when we looked up to them, now whether your heroes are comic book or MMA fighters or um, wrestlers, firemen, um, military personnel, police
Mm-hmm.
officers, like whatever it is for you, your parents, a grandfather, something like that. Like we want this to just to be able to see people do these things. And for comics, it's kind of like this thing. It's just like there's like a suspension of belief. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so can a guy? So here's this guy named Superman, and he's flying and he can leap tall buildings in a single bound, and he could stop a locomotive, and and bullets bounce off his chest. He can heat things up with his eyes. You can't really do that. Like I mean, yeah, a bulletproof vest, you know, something like, to be really strong, like, maybe flight with something that's aided, but you can't do these things, you know, but then again, on the flip side, Batman's almost feasible.
Well, yeah, I suppose so.
But the thing is that the human body can only do so much,
Mm-hmm.
or you look at, Wolverine, this cantankerous, Canadian who has a metal bound to his skeleton. He has claws, and he's the baddest thing ever. We just look for that stuff, and when we find it, it's like, oh, that's so cool. And
Yeah, you're right.
there's an escape thing kind of going on too. Same with toys. I mean, but toys are different because a lot of times it's like, okay, so um
So,
hey, this Batman figure, brings me back to my youth when, I got it for Christmas, or, or for me personally, like the one Christmas I was able to get all of Voltron Lions with the
oh yes,
characters by
yes.
Christmas.
Ooh.
I had all of them.
Oh.
It's a big deal. Like, like it's a big deal because it was just like, not necessarily was it a lot of money, but it was a bit of a challenge. And then, certain lines I weren't able to get myself. And you know what I'm saying? Like, so, when you
Oh yeah.
see these gifts, when you get these gifts and like G.I. Joe toys, or, Star Wars, when it was the big thing when we were kids, like it brings us back to our youth. It reminds you of these fun things.
Mm-hmm. So okay.
I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, no. So you were saying that you wonder when will all these things kind of like fold down, with like movies and like will it become not popular again? Like if we've had heroes for you know since
Thousands of
back in
years,
ancient
something like
time,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
will this ever stop? I don't think it will ever will. It's just evolving. It's just changing, and I don't really see it like ever, honestly, really stopping. It's what we have now, or what we had then as kids, and what we have now does get passed along though.
Yeah,
And there are certain things that stick.
right,
Like let's say Transformers.
right,
The Optimus Prime.
right.
He's almost like a robot Jesus in a way.
Jesus. Okay.
Well, yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, he's
We
a
can get
leader.
into that.
Yeah, he's a
He's
leader. Yeah.
he's a figurehead.
Yes.
But that stuff is being passed down and continuing, even today,
Right.
through the movies and such like that.
Right.
Um, yeah, but that, of course, there are some things that don't stick. Um, like I miss Silverhawks a lot.
Oh,
I
that
mean,
was a great cartoon. Yeah.
yeah, it was a great cartoon and done
Right.
really well, but
The brief toy line was really neat too.
oh yeah, I only had a couple, but
Yeah, I know they were kind of, yeah, they didn't do them for very long. Well, even
but that,
Jason the Argonauts.
yeah,
I mean, and that didn't last very long at all. Like we've had discussions at work, which is crazy. Well, we've had discussions at work about it. And one time because I brought it up, and I think like I looked it up, and it was maybe 2 seasons, and I don't think Jason the Argonauts had toys.
I think some were made like, like recently,
Right,
just because there's a
right,
there's a fandom for it,
right,
but yeah, nothing mainstream.
right. Yeah, and it's just so I mean, it just makes me wonder because it's just like how many times can you tell a story with a character, and for people to keep shelling out money for it? I mean,
Mhm.
because look, you and I both came up like during the speculator boom,
Yeah,
and look what happened. The industry, like, I mean, not that I have numbers about, not that I have, like, not that I know numbers or anything, but that the comic book industry like took a massive hit when I mean, because these comics were coming out, and oh my God, number one shy is X amount of money, and people are hedging college education funds with them, and like Exo Manowar number one with the beautiful chromium cover isn't worth anything, and
no,
people bought like I don't know 10 or more, thinking that this was going to be the book to get their kid through college because um, Detective Comics number 27 from back in the 30s or 40s like is like at that time what, maybe $1 million because there were so few of them. And
yeah,
here they were pumping them out, these variant covers, and I'm not saying that there was anything wrong, but it didn't have the comic book fan at heart in a lot of cases.
no,
They just oversaturated the market with all this stuff, these trick covers. Again, nothing wrong. Wolverine 75 has, in that storyline that it was a part of, had a, what do you call them? A 3D graphic on it?
hologram
A hologram, yeah, a
or
hologram. Yeah,
or die
hologram, yeah.
cut, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So, had them on the covers. And then it became, well, oh, they screwed up on Wolverine 75, and there were some that were upside down. Good luck finding them. I don't know if they're worth like they were worth anything back when we were teenagers, but like it was just one of those things where it destroyed the market when everything went to direct market and it became not so much of the newsstands. The money just kind of disappeared. You couldn't go. You not only went to the comic book store and the drugstore, but you could go to Walmart and buy your comic books.
that's true.
It wasn't
Oh,
this kind of, I don't want to, I mean, it wasn't like this kind of like this market where you had to go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, to a large degree, when you're able to get your Marvel and DC comics, and it's just like, oh, whoa, like, you know, I mean, yeah, of course, like I ordered mine from a comic book store for a large part, or I went to a comic book store, you did too. But sometimes when we were kids, when that wasn't a really big thing, there wasn't a comic book store. You went to the drugstore, you went to the grocery store to get your comic books. And I heard that was crazy money back in the day.
yeah,
And then and then it was like Advance Comics and what was the other one? Cap City. Yeah, the distributors,
Okay.
Diamond, and
Yeah.
what I'm saying, like, and that was huge, man. I mean, we both know of a comic book owner that went to those things, those events for the sellers, and she came back, and I mean, with just a lot of stuff, giveaways. I mean, really cool giveaways.
There was
Now,
lots of swag, yeah.
yeah, I mean, swag like you wouldn't believe. Like, I remember buying one of them. Not that I own anymore, but and it was it was this event, blah blah blah. Now it's like a meeting.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like it used to be. Like, the industry isn't what it was. Then you had, you know, these people thinking that if they could get like a comic book company like up off the ground, that they could make money.
Oh no. Yeah.
You remember that?
Yep, I do. I
I
do.
mean, I still own, I think, the Bart Sears thing that I have signed from the company that he was supposed to have helped launch. It never went anywhere. They never released an issue. Do you remember? I don't know if you were
I
with me,
do.
but like, yeah, I mean, you know, okay, let's pick on Rob Liefeld. He was supposed to have launched Boom Studios, and he did, or Boom Entertainment,
Yep. Yeah, I do
and
remember that. I think he had
based
like Maximum Press too or something.
at Maximum Press, I think is the one that I'm really looking at, where because somehow he goofed himself out of his image company.
Yep.
He launches Maximum Press and was literally doing a comic based upon the predication of the advanced orders.
Oof. Yeah, that's shady.
I mean, look, I know he's not the same guy now. I'm sure he's not.
No.
But that hurt his credentials, his credibility as a businessman. And he's taken, like, I mean, he's apologized for, I'm sure, quite a bit of it. But, like, he had a Levi's jeans commercial at the age of 21. And this is the one thing, like, I've been thinking about too. He had a Levi's commercial. Like, he was this artist who was lucky to break in on an X book.
Yeah.
His first professional work was Hawk and Dove.
Yep.
He was able to get on an X-Men comic. He blew up almost overnight, and he's got a Levi's jeans commercial, and he's getting all this press. Now, he's not the only one. Let's be fair, Jim Lee, but those guys weren't 21 years old. Todd McFarlane, they weren't, or the other one,
Larson?
Shadowhawk. Well, Larson too, but
Oh,
the other guy,
Valentino.
Valentino. They weren't that young. They were
No.
like maybe in their 20s or 30s, okay? But Liefeld was a kid.
Really
And
was.
he was a kid. I mean, he was like what, 20, 21?
Hmm.
He was a kid. And to have all his attention that he probably wasn't even used to. And now he's a big deal. And guess what? He leaves Marvel Comics, among other people, to do Image. And it's the biggest thing since frickin' sliced bread. And now he's getting so much attention and people are pulling on him so much that it must have been like way too much for him to handle, or he didn't have the faculties to handle it.
He needed
And
other people. Yeah, he needed his partners.
I mean, and it's just one of those things. And here we are, you know, two guys chasing him up and down freaking rows saying, "Hey, we want to get your signature." "Oh yeah, I'll be over there." And he's blowing people off. Well, I don't want to say blowing people off. I'm sure he signed comics back then, but it was hard to find him. And then when he was supposed to be somewhere, he wouldn't be there. You know, I mean, and I was really upset about it. I remember being mad about it when I was, a teenager
I
because I
do
really
remember
wanted
that.
his autographed. Then all of a sudden, I was just like, I'm older now. He's older now, and I'm like, wow, that must have been really overwhelming. But
Probably.
now, for somebody to go, hey, look, Rob, let's do a comic book company together. He's not going to have it.
No.
He's somewhat lucky to get work now.
Um.
I may be speaking out of turn, and I do apologize if
No.
I'm
No.
saying the wrong thing, but that's what it felt like to me.
No. it. He could have. I, when they left and Image was really doing good,
Right,
they had everything to you know they had the industry,
right,
but a lot of them and mostly Rob, felt like they felt like a lot of the industry itself where they couldn't do wrong, and
right,
whatever they did, was heralded as amazing and
right,
everything. But eh, uh, I think some of them kind of lost the connection,
right.
and Rob kind of couldn't see that. Um, and I think he felt like he couldn't do that, and I think the other guys, they realized, you know, the the industry is kind of making a turn. It's not about you know uh, quantity or gimmicks. It's about the core
Substance.
things. Yeah,
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 substance. Yeah, good story, good art.
yep.
And to think that, like, like when Image got launched, and they took all these guys from DC and Marvel, and and all of a sudden, like, those companies were scrambling to find not necessarily writers, but like artists to fill those slots.
Hmm.
And I mean, and God bless the guys that stayed, because that was that. To think about it, almost overnight, an entire company pulls your artist roster from inkers to colors to artists all the way down.
Hmm.
And the ones that stayed, like Adam and Andy Kubert, Madeira. You know, they stayed, and they weathered that storm. Ramita, for the most part.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, but it was just like, it was so overwhelming. But to be that guy, and I don't want to pick on, I don't necessarily mean to pick on Rob, and maybe I'm still bitter about not getting his autograph when I was a teenager. But to have that, like, you know what I mean, and all of a sudden, like, you just make these really kind of wrong decisions, or incorrect decisions, or you're listening to the wrong people. I mean, it's important to surround yourself with really good people, or to have people that you can go to that won't, you know, blow your ego up,
Right.
but but yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I know he gets work now, but it's not, I don't know if it's steady or not.
Um,
I mean,
Not really. I don't see him doing a whole lot, but he
right.
may not have to that much. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, I mean, but it was a great time to be a collector, don't get me wrong, but in certain regards, I just, you know, and I think the fan kind of sacrificed the this a strong story for great art in certain instances,
Yeah, definitely.
and that kind of hurt. But anyway, I go ahead.
He- I definitely saw a lot of that, and I think that was mostly the writing on the wall for the industry.
Right,
Was people kind of stopped caring because the writers, the artists, you know, Marvel, it they picked up, and they had their runs with
Right.
the replacement guys,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't last,
Right.
and they were falling into the thing too with gimmicks
Right.
and stuff like
Well,
that.
in order to compete, because they felt that that's what they needed to do to compete. I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, this is all speculative on my part, but
yeah. Same here.
but you
Same
just
here.
sit there. I mean, but it's just like one of those things where you just, I sit and think, I'm like, wow, man, like, and to be really honest, like, I mean, I like his art, but he's not the greatest artist.
Oh, Rob, no.
I mean, he's got a style and it's
Yeah.
great, but there were guys smoking him.
Oh
Jim
yeah.
Lee, one of them. His peer, well, kind of his peer, but Smoke is a way better artist.
I Rob's early stuff was actually pretty good.
Yeah, the Hawk and Dove stuff was really tight. I mean,
Hawk
I
and
love
Dove
this guy.
and
Yeah,
New Mutants and
right.
even the first part of X Force. And
Yeah, yeah.
maybe you could see it starting to fall off
Right,
after the start of Image,
right.
because
Yeah,
then
just the money that was flying around too at that time. Oh my God.
because he came back to Marvel and did Captain America, and wow, that some of
Uh,
that artwork, like
it's
his sense of anatomy was just
yeah.
lost.
Oh, it was even worse than what it was when he was drawing initially.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he could draw it, and I mean, even on the flip side, let's Stephen Platt.
Okay, I remember.
Okay, Prophet, because that was the guy it was a tie-in from Youngblood. Um, and then there was a storyline with Ragnarok that tied in the Extreme Studio stuff, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember
He
his
was
style
being
was
heralded. He was being heralded as like the next big thing.
yeah.
He did
Hat.
Moon Knight, right?
Yep.
He did Moon Knight. That was his big breakaway book. He did Moon Knight. He did very well, even though the book canceled, if I remember correctly. And he was being heralded as next big thing. He gets Prophet as the artist on it, and you have not heard from that. He did a few issues, and you've never heard from him again in the industry. And what I found out was he was doing like storyboard drawing
Oh, okay.
up in, I think, Canada, maybe. I don't remember what country, but he's doing storyboard art. And I liked his style. I mean, it's not really in the vein of Rob's, but it was its own thing.
Yeah, very detailed.
Right,
Um, very dynamic,
right,
and it was very action oriented.
right,
Um, you didn't see a whole lot of like story flowing with
right,
him,
right.
and you know there wasn't a whole lot of attention to detail with like
No,
faces or
right.
expression.
No, especially if
That seemed
at
to
a
be
kind of a
tough with him.
distance in the
Yeah,
in the angle. Yeah, there wasn't.
but but
And also too, you want to think let me drop this on you.
mhm.
He worked with Alan Moore.
Stephen Platt did.
No, Rob,
Oh, oh,
if I remember correctly, because Alan Moore did a run on Youngblood that's supposed to be really good, and I don't know if Rob was the writer, but like Alan Moore is known for doing like these really detailed scripts, like really detailed down to like what the panel should look like.
oh,
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, to think that, like he got to work with Alan Moore.
that's cool.
You know what I'm saying? But like,
That's very
but
cool.
with the style, like, it's just really weird, like that wrap your head around, like. But I think Rob drew it. I don't really remember. But they pulled all these guys. It was great. Some of them were really great, like Willis Portacio, even though he had stuff in like DC or Marvel initially. and then to be picked up by Wildstorm Studios.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and he was, I mean, he was a talent too. I mean, he's a great talent still, but he had some really horrific stuff happen to him.
I
Have you
don't
heard about?
remember.
Yeah,
No.
I heard an interview with him too. He like something happened to him, and he went into a coma for like a large part of a year.
Oh my gosh.
And when he woke up, like he had to learn how to do everything all over again, and it was questionable if he could do art ever again.
Oh.
Which is why there was that long delay with Wetworks. I think that was the reason why. I mean, there was a delay with Wetworks, or Wetworks kind of stopped, was because he was
Really?
just, yeah. Yeah, not that you
My
can
God.
find the
But
interview anymore. I wish they could find the interview because it was so good. But my understanding is that the podcast that I listened to, their last episode, they said that they were pulling everything down.
oh
It
wow.
it was a great, like I'd never heard an interview with Willis Portacio, and it was so good. Like there were a lot of interviews that particular podcast did. They were so good. I mean, and they were able to geek out harder on the art side than you and I. It was fantastic. You
I
know, but then
remember.
now, but then again, DC owns it.
Oh. And I remember like he did a lot of stuff after Wetworks. Like
Right,
I can't believe he couldn't do art.
right,
Wow. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's
He
a really
was
good story.
right, yeah. I'll look it up for next time so I can be a little bit more accurate with it. But yeah. Okay, so enough about Image and Rob Liefeld and all them. Well, I think we overloaded everybody with it. Um, the Batman movie with Rob Pattinson, I guess they have released photos of Rob, and apparently he's not bulked up enough for the role.
Mm,
For they
okay.
want like with the type of bodies that like for him to I guess the costume or whatever, like he hasn't bulked up enough, and they've had like these really, the news story that I read, like have these like very very kind of like I think it was an advert for the perfume Dior, 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 Christian Dior, like, and it was just like, oh man, like he's just like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't
Oh,
know why I had anything, but yeah, it was kind of crazy. They've also have announced that Peter Sarsgaard is officially in the movie,
okay.
in a role that isn't DC. It's not a DC character. I think he plays some kind of detective. I don't remember
Okay.
what the name they gave him, but he's not in DC in Batman canon. So that should be really good because he's a really good actor too.
Yeah.
He's done
Hmm.
a lot of
That'll,
really good roles.
so actually adding people in. All right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but like I said, and apparently it starts off. I don't know if we in the last episode we talked about it, but like they're coming in when he is like first being Batman kind of a thing.
Yeah.
As what I think I remember reading. So that's kind of cool too. I mean, you got to give it a shot, right? I mean, the Batman outfit looks really good.
Ooh.
It's like gray, like kind of a gray on black, but with the black bat.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
like
like
that
that.
kind of. Yeah, yeah. I just wish they would do a storyline. Excuse me, where Batman they do Batman, but like Batman's like the ones from like the 20s or 30s, where he's like this kind of like gun-toting vigilante shooting at vampires
um.
or ghouls or something like that. Like, I mean, to do something like that, where it's kind of like a noir kind of film.
Hmm. Could they do a Batman verse, like a Spider Verse type thing?
I don't know.
Probably not.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, given to what, as we've been talking about, like at length, where it's been like, um, oh man, my brain's not working. Where there's a lot of TV and a lot of film,
Yeah.
kind of a thing, like where it's kind of really hard to say, how that could be pulled off.
Well, actually thinking about it, they kind of did that with the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to like. I mean, all right, I mean, they're really cool. I like, not that I've ever watched any of them, but like they're really cool. But like, you got to think like that's not really meant to be taken seriously. This is for kids to, that sell movie tickets for the kids, I guess.
You've seen Lego Batman, right?
No. You
Jason.
would be absolutely surprised on the shit that I've seen and I haven't seen. I just
Actually, okay, I will say it's actually done really good, and you
Oh
would
really?
laugh.
Yeah, no, I've
You
heard really high
really
praise
enjoy
on it. Yeah. Oh no, I've heard it's like it's a fun flick, like for sure. It'd be one of those things where I'd probably, if I can get Kira to watch like Batman
Okay, yeah.
without the super, like the other one, the females and like the girls involved, like I think I'd be doing really well. But right now she's into Supergirls and hang on one second. Yes. Oh. Filibuster. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and filibuster. I got to do something.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So what I'm feeling. Let's see. How about I throw in my recommendation for this week? Um, what is it that I've been kind of feeling? Um, I am revisiting the 1990s X-Men cartoon on Disney Plus. Um, Going back, looking at that was pretty amazing storytelling, and the script was really good, and they pulled it off for what it was back then, and kind of enjoying it. It was like the original. So
What are we
um,
talking about? What are you talking
I'm
about?
I'm giving everyone my recommendation of what they should try to go watch and like go on Disney Plus and check out the original X-Men cartoon.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really fun thing to watch. Good
Um,
artwork too.
I think a lot of that could be kind of even thought of, in today's standards.
Right.
Um, the segregation and stuff like that, and
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the thing that they really pushed then too. I mean, even for back then. I mean, for then, it seemed to be like that real kind of. I mean, even still, which is kind of crazy, like that prevalent thing of like the theme of segregation or race issue. Race divides.
yeah. Uh,
Something like that.
um, yeah. I've only just started the first couple episodes, and
Right.
it's taking me back. I haven't really watched
Right.
it for a long time, so
Right. Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but like I said, I would find time to sit down and watch it, and it's really good. I mean, yeah, I remember back when it was playing, it was a really big deal. But yeah. Also, somebody in Japan is building a Gundam, like some kind of 60 feet Gundam robot thing.
like a like a real working thing.
Yeah, they're building
I
like, let me pull that up. It's funny, dude. I've never when I saw the story, like I've never like laughed so hard because I liked I the only one I've ever seen of the Gundam series was Gundam Wing a little bit.
Okay. I can't say I've ever gotten into it.
Well, it's kind of like Macross, like, Robotech kind of a thing,
Yeah.
And I mean, I grew up with Robotech, and then watched
The Macross movies afterwards.
yeah, I may have watched them, yeah.
I still haven't gotten around to that.
They're building the largest humanoid robot is being built in Yokohama, Japan. It's modeled after Gundam, a humanoid robot that stars in various anime series, films, manga, and more. The robot will be almost 60 feet tall.
What?
It won't be debuted until October, but there's a 64-foot tall Gundam statue in Tokyo in
Yeah.
the meantime.
Yeah. I
That's
know about
just,
the statue, but they're
that
actually making the giant robot. And what is
this
it going to
is
do? I mean,
walk. It's just to prove that they could do it. Like,
uh,
could you imagine that? What's that, mommy? A big giant robot, but we need to get the hell out of here. It's just,
hey,
you
you know
can't
what?
do that.
You know what this is the start of? This is the
What?
start of Pacific Rim.
Oh yeah, right.
We're gonna have giant robots.
Yeah, giant robots. Yeah, that's just too funny, dude. Like, I've just never laughed so hard in my life. I saw that news story and I'm like, wait a minute. I had to do a double take. I'm like, what? Somebody wants to build like a Gundam like freaking robot that can just walk. Where are you gonna walk? Because that thing would weigh like, oof, like a lot.
Yeah.
It's just not what a word is, like a lot.
Don't walk through any swamps.
Don't be walking through any kind of water, power lines, buildings.
Are they expecting Godzilla? I mean,
I don't know, man. Wouldn't you want what's that one guy called? Ultron? No.
Ultraman.
Ultraman? Yeah. Oh, it was a terrible freaking cartoon too. Or like a kid show. They
Yeah,
did an
it was.
Ultraman. That was terrible. It was cheesy as heck, but
I
what
never
are you
saw
gonna do?
any, but I could picture it.
I have when I was a kid. Um, it was like maybe on an independent network, something like that. Man, it's been so long ago. Yeah.
Um, so I have a friend, and I'd like to get him on the podcast sometime.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's a Transformer fan like me,
Right.
but he is mostly into Godzilla, a lot of
Oh
the
wow.
Japanese
Right.
monster type movies. Uh,
Right.
just heavily versed.
Right. Oh yeah, he'd
He
be interesting to have on. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Get his take on the newer Godzilla movie.
Uh,
I'm
yeah,
sure
I'll be sure
he's
to
seen
try
it.
to
Yeah,
get him
yeah.
on.
I'm sure he's seen it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, we could have to work that out. Yeah, that'd be good. I still want to do a Star Wars one, but I don't know how I'm gonna pull that one together. I'm gonna pull it together. I don't remember. Sorry. Yeah. I don't want to say anything else. Oh, have you ever messed with um, Marvel Unlimited,
Mm,
like
is
the
that
digital comic? The digital
oh
comic,
no, I haven't.
because I saw an ad for it, and I don't know if it's that horrendously expensive. I might check that out. Like maybe we could do like a demon in a bottle kind of overview or something like that.
Okay.
Like just so I could read stories again. And not so much the event, but like just good stories. Like, 'cause I think they got the older ones in there too. Like hopefully
Yeah.
some of the Chris Claremont X-Men stuff.
I go to the comic store once in a while, and I see the trade paperbacks of the old stuff,
Right.
and I like price wise for what you're getting is actually good, but I
Right.
still it's still hard for me to wanna to to buy those giant paperbacks. Like I want to get like the whole Inferno
The single
series,
issues.
and
Yeah, the single
yeah,
issues. Yeah.
it's
It's crazy, like, right? So like when when you think about it, like that's the best value unless you go to a comic book convention and you're able to find it in like a discount bin
yeah. There's
because the store can't move the comic books
hmm
and find all of them. But yeah, like that's kind of like when I'd lost my collection, and then when I kind of wanted to read a little bit again, I initially it was trades. They weren't horrendously expensive because there's a place online where you could buy them where they're discounted. Um, that I got them from, and I think I bought some from a comic book store too. That first little run. Um, and then yeah, and that's just kind of how it came about. And then my birthday a few years ago, my daughter and her ex-husband took me to this comic book store that's close by, and they bought me comics, like whatever I wanted. Like I was able to get the entire Daredevil with Man Without Fear
cool.
run for not horrendously amount of money, which was surprisingly enough, given to um, how how much heralded that storyline was. That Ramita had like all this time to work on a Frank Miller script for Daredevil,
Hmm.
which was really cool. Um, I got that. I don't know what else I got. Because Dylan gave me the Green Arrow stuff. What else did I get? I don't know what else I got. But yeah, that was like one of a few things I got because I came up to the counter and I had like a couple things, and then it's just like I was just like, go get more. You want to go get more. I'm like, all right. I
I
think I got
I
Creature Trade too for not horrendously amount of money too.
I have been pretty attracted to like all the ones that I wish I would have had back when we first started collecting.
Right,
Um, like I almost want to go back and get a whole bunch of that, but
right.
there's a lot of space, that I really don't have for, those
Oh
big
yeah,
uh paperbacks.
right.
And I would almost want to like go online and read it then, but then I don't know. What is
I've
it with
done
you?
it. I mean,
You
I've read digital comics.
uh-huh.
It's a different experience
Yeah.
for sure. And sometimes you get like these kind of like crazy effects that they can do on them, which was cool. But in the same regard, like sometimes reading them, if you don't know in what way to swipe your finger, like you go to like a panel instead of like how you would open it up and then like let's say you have like a gatefold, like so it's like 2 pages, and
Right.
how there's this natural flow to where your eye needs to be going. It'll have the initial view, and then sometimes it doesn't really follow it really well, or you're
Yep.
not able to look in another direction. Um,
Kind of lose
it's
something. Yeah.
it's not bad, but like I mean, for like $10 a month, you can get Comixology from Amazon and read like a lot of titles, or buy them if you're able to buy them kind of on the cheap. But um, you all right?
Yeah, yeah, my headphones were just kind of
Oh
not
yeah.
sitting right. So, sorry.
Ooh, that's
Ugh.
no, it's cool. But yeah, like it's a different reading experience, and it's kind of it takes a little while to get used to. And I've read it on like my phone, and I read it on my iPad, and it's just a different experience. And there's a part of me that I mean, the money wise, and if you're able to read like whatever, Like, it's cool, but if you don't, but if you can go by the tactile, issue, there's a lot of sentimentality to that too. Like, especially if you're getting issues that you remember, or like, in my case, there's a lot of issues that I remember. Like, what I would like to, I don't know how much it would be. They did a variant of the Sandman 50th issue,
Okay.
and it was the coolest thing, and I bought it. And of course, like, I'll back in the day, like, I would occasionally trade comics to get new comics, and it was one of those ones that I used. Speaking of Sandman, I don't remember if it's been confirmed or not, but I think it has been. They're doing a Sandman series.
What, Neil Gaiman's gonna write it, or
Let me pull it up.
do you mean like a TV series or comic
Yeah,
series?
because the thing is that there was a lot of so
Ooh.
there was a lot of I don't know if it's been officially announced, but it kind of comes on the heels of
Of Watchmen?
no, not Watchmen. So it it comes on the heels because Lucifer is ending the show,
Okay. Yeah.
and they that hang on one second, let me kind of read this real quick. It'll be on Netflix, but apparently it has something to do with that they're going to be ending the Lucifer series, and then they're going to launch the Sandman series.
Okay. I haven't seen Lucifer, but I've kind of wanting to see it.
It's real. It's we watched like maybe like the first season of it. It was one of those kind of like comic book kind of shows that Shuri watched. And she really liked the character. It was kind of, because it's kind of really warped. It's just like, well, he doesn't want to be the king of hell anymore, so he just kind of comes to Earth and hangs around. And it's just a lot of really messed up stuff that he does, like kind of like the conscience, learning that this isn't really like this acceptable thing, and it was really well done. Um,
Oh,
that's
cool.
about all I can really remember out of it. But apparently, they've
Well,
got. Go ahead.
I'm because I haven't seen it, but I haven't really noticed any sort of like really. Okay, I'm picturing Sandman as more of like a really art film, you know, really like abstract, surreal, like type setting.
Well, this is kind of why I think they're going to Netflix with it. Because if they
Okay.
didn't do Netflix, they would almost have to rely on like Showtime or HBO.
Right.
And I
Exactly.
don't think HBO is willing to do anything that's like comic centric for a
What?
while. Yeah, the Watchmen series didn't do well, and I think it's I don't know if it's on its. I know it didn't. It hasn't done well.
I thought The Watchmen was doing really good. I haven't seen it yet, but
No. Um, let me come on. Uh,
yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Watchmen. And yeah, I just can't afford to keep paying money to HBO. So
I know, right?
I
Yeah. Um, hang on. Yeah, dude, it only lasted until like it only did like 9 episodes and lasted until like December 15th of 2019. It
okay.
didn't do well. It didn't do well at all. But then again, they have announced that they're doing a prequel to the Game of Thrones.
Ugh.
Well,
Okay.
okay, so
Well,
I,
that
I
might be
guess
okay.
well, so here's my thing. I want This could be a bit of a rant. So George R.R. Martin, I mean, if you look into like what he's done with his career, he's done a lot of TV writing. He's done fiction writing. Been very successful at it. He did the Beauty and the Beast series that was on CBS TV way back when in the 80s,
I like
90s.
that. Yep.
He was on that. So he comes out with a series of books that was Songs of the Fire and Ice. And there were these books that were written on the Game of Thrones. That was, I guess, the other word for it, or the other name for it. And he wrote them, and he's written 4 or 5 books. He has not come out with the next book. It's been years, Phill. Years. And it's pissing me off. Pissed me off so much. I'm telling you, it pissed me off so bad that when they did the Game of Thrones show, right?
Yep.
They hit a season where they literally ran out of book material to use, and they had to kind of like make it up as they go along. Okay. I've never been so set off about a series of books ever. I stopped watching the show. So much so that my wife is frustrated because she wanted to continue to watch the show. I got her into watching the show. I found out that they ran out of source material because he won't make a freaking book. He won't release it. It's done. It's in the can. He won't release the freaking book. Only to do a TV series. If you wanted to do a TV series, that's what you should have done. Not this, I'm going to do these books and maybe get a TV deal. If your intent was all along was to do a TV show and you needed to do like the print material, like use get this fan base going, people buying a lot of your books and, putting, money in your pocket, and you all of a sudden, because of the work and whatever, and you don't even release the damn book. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Because the books were brilliant. That last one that he wrote, like, dealt with characters that you weren't familiar with. If you're familiar with the series at all,
not really.
Like,
honestly.
I think the only recognizable one that was in there was, I think Arya had a couple of moments in it. The youngest daughter to what was his name? Ned.
I know Ned
Whatever
Stark.
kingdom that is. That's how mad I am. Okay, like, finish the books. To me, if that was the case, you should have made sure like they were all pretty much well done and in the can before you all of a sudden get a TV deal and it pulls up a large amount of your time. Then there was mention that he's going to be in part of a video game, like doing a video game, and he's farting around, and he releases this big book of the prequel, like of the Lannister and all this other stuff. I'm not saying it's not good, it's not bad. You do that because you're trying to capture the money from this license that you developed, and you can't release the frickin' book.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I lost interest in it, and my wife wanted to watch it, and I'm like, nope. And people ask me, and you can ask my buddy James, excuse my language, but I referred to him as, I at one point referred to him as that fat bastard. Because I'm so mad.
Yes.
And I will have to get him on to tell that story because I don't remember what I said verbatim, and he does. I was so mad, and I got on a rant. But yeah, it's just like, come on, dude. And he look. Have you ever seen pictures of him?
Yeah, he wears like kind of like a
No,
funny
I mean
hat.
like a full body picture.
No.
Philip, I'm in better shape than this guy is, and I'm not in the greatest shapes. Like, he is really, really overweight. And I'm not making fun of him because he's really overweight, because he's in poor health. Like, he's got to be in really poor health.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna catch flack for going off about it, and I don't care because that's how I feel. Like, look, enough, enough, enough. So I don't know on how much involvement he's going to have with this prequel stuff. I'm interested in the prequel stuff because it deals with like a lot of the before history. I think with a house that isn't even in the Game of Thrones, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
But I
Okay.
was so mad. But yeah, he hasn't released a book, and there was a prequel in the paperback edition of the upcoming book, and it was given a release date, and it just nothing.
Uh,
And
so
there's plenty of other. What's that?
what do you think? Is Game of Thrones a property that where
It's a cash grab.
right? Did it get so
It's a
popular
coffer
that
fattener.
it?
It's a coffer fattener.
I don't know. I see it as one of those things that got white hot and then kind of like fizzled away. Like, but maybe they could kind of revive it.
I
I
don't. Well, see, I don't think it's necessarily whether they're going to revive it or not. They did so well with the initial series
yeah.
that they're like, well, let's do this, because I mean, like when you read the books, there's all this mention of this this previous history that's going on with the various houses, and some of it's they go into, some of it they don't. Um, you know, you just what I'm saying, like it's this mixed bag that they can explore. And much like Star Wars, like who knew Star Wars was going to be as big as it is?
Yeah, that's
All
true.
because of what was reportedly to be a bad, what not bad, what was reportedly to be a B movie initially. Yeah, I mean, no, really. I mean, I mean, that's what it was supposed to. It was kind of like this B sci-fi movie initially.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I
it's a
know.
cash grab. It's a cash grab. But I just want him to finish the books, Phil. Like,
But it's gone past that, right? Like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he keeps telling. I keep every now and then hearing that he'll release a book or release the next book. But I mean, how much time does that guy left? He's not a spring chicken.
right.
I mean, look at Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time series. To me, that should be one they should. That's a crime that they don't do it as a series. But there's so many books, and these books are like really thick. And like Robert Jordan, um, I think he'd gotten like cancer or some kind of incurable disease, and he knew he wasn't going to finish it. So he got another writer that he liked involved to help him finish it out. And the last book is 2 books. It's so thick, and it's really good too. I mean, it's just as crazy as Game of Thrones, but it didn't get the attention like Game of Thrones has. 1 and 2, it was released like years ago, like somewhere in the 90s, maybe
Hmm.
mid to late 90s. So, I mean, there's a lot of books that they could do. Like there's another sci-fi series, um, written by Glen Cook, and it's about a mercenary. I have to look that up. It's about a mercenary group in like this like kind of alternate reality kind of thing, and it's so well written. It's just so good, and they have like one of the there's these 2 characters that are wizards, and they're just constantly like just freaking just giving each other absolute grief, like the entire in the book. It's funny to read. um what was the name of that book? It was really good. I mean, like to me that would be a really neat one. He did one of the last books that he did, he kind of pulled, because he was in the Vietnam War, he pulled on his Vietnam experiences. And they're holed up in the city and nobody knows that they're there, and uh, and so these wizards, these priests are burning themselves, and he'll go out and they'll go out and I mean, they're underneath the city somewhere. They'll go out to these like big protests, and these priests are burning themselves, and they'll form out of the smoke. Like there was this saying, um, I don't remember how it initially went, the whole thing, but it ends with, "And my brothers are unforgiven." Like they're gonna get revenge on everybody that put them there. Give me a second. I got his, but I don't know why I'm bringing this up now. The Black Company.
Okay.
It's really good. Like that whole series. I don't remember there being a really weak book amongst the whole thing. And it's like the first bit of it. They're these sorcerers that if you find out like what their true name is, like you take away their power. It's really good. Like it, and the guy who becomes like the commander of the outfit, like um like him and this one woman who was a god. I don't know if she's still a god in the series or whatever, but like they start becoming like a couple, and they're older. It's funny. Like it's great. That was a great series to read. But yeah, but that to me should be a TV series, but nobody's picked up on that property either. I know they picked up the Terry Goodkind Sword of Truth series, and it for TV, and I don't think it did very well.
Mm.
And it
Who is
was a
that by? Who is that
Terry
by?
Goodkind. Which one?
Uh,
The
Glen
the
Cook.
Black Company. Yeah, the Black Company. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. But anyway, yeah, it was such a good read. Uh, but yeah, these hedge wizards were just funny. This comedic relief. You know, there's a game that they play in the book that they actually have rules for. It's kind of like a version of 21.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. Anything else you want to talk about, or?
No, we got a lot in here.
Yeah, we did for what, over an hour, almost two. So what is my recommendation?
Oh, I thought that was it.
Yeah,
The Glen
read
Cook
The
book.
Black Company. Read The Black Company by Glen Cook. That's a good sci-fi series.
Cool.
Yeah, read that. So anyway, I guess nothing else we want to talk about. So anyway, you can reach us. The Facebook channel is the Ashcan Podcast. The Facebook group, Ashcan Podcast. Um, uh, Contact us through email, through Gmail, the official Ashcan Podcast, all together, no spaces, no capital letters, at gmail.com. If you want to drop us a line there. So anyway, it's been fun, Phill.
Yes, it has.
All right.
I'm enjoying
Yeah.
this more and more.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Let's wind Jason up and let him rant. Yeah. Right.
That'll
So
be my. That's also my mission too. Every
what?
every episode. See if
What, to
I
wind me up? Like to see
wind
if you
you
can
up
wind me
and
up?
yeah.
Was I like that as a teenager?
N- n-
Kinda.
yeah, you were. I'm just gonna say it. It was fun.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
It was fun.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Watching a guy freak out over a comic book cover. Anyway, so we're gonna knock this on the head. So, like I said, Facebook, YouTube, and contact us through Gmail. Uh, so I'm Jason.
I'm Phill.
You all have a great evening, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Take care, bud. All right, let me figure out how to shut this off. Here we go.